show in the cosmos. Get ready for insight and inspiration right here on Planet Rock with your special guest, Byron Holton, and your cosmic guide through our ever-changing space and time. I'm your host, Raquel Herring. Hello, friends, and welcome to the PlanetRoq Podcast, your go-to spot for all things relationships, personal growth, and navigating life's twists and turns, from the depths of dating and marital dynamics to the heights of spiritual journeys, entrepreneurship, money, pets, and plants. We explore every facet of human connection. I'm Raquel Herring, your cosmic companion on this wild ride called life. Each episode of Planet Rock is packed with insights and inspiration to help you thrive in this ever-changing world. From heartwarming stories to candid conversations, we're here to empower you and uplift your spirits. Tune in every Thursday at noon Eastern Standard Time on envision-radio.com, where praise meets talk for some real talk, real people goodness. And don't forget to catch the video replay on YouTube every Saturday. And when you're watching, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell to stay updated with all of our latest episodes. And follow me on social media for updates, and swing by my website at raquelherring.com to stay connected. Relax, settle in, and let's rock your world one relationship at a time right here on Planet Rock. Welcome back to the PlanetRoq Podcast. Today, we are thrilled to have the talented Byron Holton with us. Byron is a self-taught pianist whose music journey has been inspired by legends like Stevie Wonder and Donny Hathaway. He's opened for major acts such as Usher and George Benson, produced tracks for artists like Juvenile, and even performed with the Miami Dolphins of Voices under Gloria and Emilio Estefan. Byron's music career has evolved from R&B to fully embracing gospel, with his track Something About the Name of Jesus continues to make waves. His passion for music and faith has guided him to spread the gospel through his unique style. Join us as Byron shares his journey, insights on navigating the music industry, and how his faith drives his artistry. You don't want to miss this inspiring conversation. Thank you, Byron, for joining us.
Hey, how you doing? What's going
on?
I'm
fantastic. How are you?
Man, I'm blessed, man. I'm still alive and kicking. How about
Glory
yourself?
to God.
Absolutely.
Thank you for coming on the show. So you've mentioned being inspired by Stevie Wonder and Donny Hathaway. How have these influences shaped your unique sound and approach to music?
Oh, man, how much time do we have?
An hour.
Okay, good. Then we're good then.
All right.
I could just start on Stevie Wonder alone. The first time I've ever touched a piano was after listening to Ribbon in the Sky on the radio. I ran home and said, I want to learn this song. Yeah. And that was the first song I've learned because I'm self-taught.
Yes.
And I actually have it tattooed on my arm. So this is actually the music for Ribbon in the Sky.
Wow.
So Stevie Wonder has shaped my style of playing and producing and writing and even performing in ways unimaginable. But I have to say that a lot of my influence actually came from my father, believe it or not.
That's wonderful. Tell us about that.
Listen, my father, he was a musician who didn't play music.
Okay.
he had the kind of voice that sounded like a brass section. Very brassy, raspy, Teddy Pendergrass, like.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah, if he spoke in the room, it would command your attention. Like,
wow.
Yeah, that kind of voice. So, yeah.
Wow. And well, tell us more. He supported your career. He was just like true, just down for you all the way.
Listen, Dad was like, in a good way, he was like Joe Jackson. You know what I mean?
Okay.
Like he managed me and my brother in a group that we were in, Sounds of Success, for many years. I mean, prior to that, he had his own funk band, like the Parliament style of funk music.
Yes.
And he eventually got into like gospel music as well. He had a gospel group called the Rising Stars, which they were more like a quartet group where they all like squalled and screamed all day. But with me and my brothers personally, he's definitely been instrumental with our career. He was a person that would go to radio stations or whatever club or whatever it is that we were playing at, even if we were not on the bill that night. We were on the bill after he spoke to the promoter.
Awesome.
So yeah, so he was very instrumental with our career. Getting us on platforms like the one with Usher, Escape, even George Benson with this thing they would do every year in West Palm Beach called the Sunfest.
Okay.
So him, my mother, and my aunt Celeste Barton, God rest her soul. They were pretty much our managers at the time. So dad, mom, auntie, they were all in.
That's awesome. That's wonderful when the whole family is into it and just like going for it, That's awesome. You talk about Stevie Wonder, Donny Hathaway. What elements of their music do you try to incorporate into your own?
I mean, definitely a lot of it is musical. It's chord progression. It's fusing like things that feel like funk
Okay.
with R&B, and also like telling stories. Like I love to tell a story. Like it seems like majority of the songs that I started out with in my gospel career, each verse started with can I ask you all a question, or excuse me, I have a question. It's always like some type of conversation, or it's these concepts of telling people like, hey, this is my story. Like this is what I went through, and this is the conclusion that I've come to. So it's always storytelling, and I think Stevie Wonder is the master of storytelling with songs like Ghetto Village Land.
Okay.
I mean, for someone to not have sight, to have so much vision.
Yes.
And so much humanity. I think that's why I'm mainly drawn to his music. And Donna Hathaway with what's the song he had? The Ghetto. It's not that I'm so much as drawn to like ghetto music, but I love music that can tell stories from a place of hurt or poverty, and it turns into something beautiful. So
yeah. And not only like with the words, but even the instrumentation can take you from one place to another in just a few minutes.
Yes, very
feel
like
all those things that they're feeling and they're trying to, impart into you about that experience. Yeah. Your transition. I'm sorry, you want to say something?
Oh, no. I was just going to furthermore on that. It's just, within 3 minutes and 50 seconds, they can take you from being in your living room to wherever they are.
Yes.
So,
that's amazing.
But as you were saying.
Well, that's amazing. Just music, the power that music has. And it's almost like you need to use it responsibly because there is so much power in it to, inspire, to educate, to, just have transition, taking you on journeys, to give you perspective. There's so much involved in music. It's absolutely amazing.
It's a very powerful tool and a powerful influence. I look at today's time and how even how the children are like performing, just as children, like day-to-day responsibilities. A lot of times their responses is because of the musical influence, what I mean? Like if I went inside a classroom and said ski yeet, they would probably repeat the other words after that. And,
right.
Yeah, like certain little catchphrases like those kids, they will respond to it. So music is very influential.
Yeah. Absolutely. You made a transition from R&B, from producing for Juvenile and other artists that are like known, to deciding that you were going to go gospel. That's intriguing. Like, what was the turning point that made you fully commit to gospel music?
This is going to be interesting, right? Because honestly, it's like what I did was I did what my friend prophesied. He actually, a friend of mine by the name of Verdell Thomas, he prophesied to me like in 1998. I'm telling my age now. He basically, he said, hey man, we were in church tonight and the pastor was speaking, and then I just had this thought about you, and God has showed me like you on this really large platform, like you're still yourself, like you know, with the hat to the back and the tattoos, like you're still yourself, but what you're talking about is actually bringing people to Christ. And I said, man, I don't know what you're talking about. I don't know if y'all was smoking something away here, but you know, in my mind, please don't laugh at this. Every time when I say this, people be like, ugh, probably too soon to say this, but in my mind in 1998, I really wanted to be like R. Kelly.
I understand.
Not knowing that R. Kelly didn't want to be like R. Kelly right about now. But the bottom line is that so but I'm just saying in terms of his musical genius and being able to create and just literally, you know, get people to feel different things musically. Like he can make you feel like you can fly one moment.
Yep.
He can help you and your husband make a baby the next moment. he can heal the world and have Michael Jackson singing his songs one moment. So I was like, I want to be able to musically, you know, transcend in that way. Yes. And not knowing that there's some things that he would definitely like to have changed at this point in his career. But needless to say, with the whole entire transition from R&B to gospel, it wasn't really much of a transition. Only thing it was just me changing what I sung about, more so than because the music, the production is still the same. It's the same producer, which is myself. Yeah. But the intentions behind it is the thing that is the most different. You know what I mean? Like I'm not talking about what I once talked about. But the funny part about the whole thing, what I really wanted to say is that I never really intended to go into like the genre of gospel music. It's just like I intended to talk about what I talked about. Yeah. But if you had to classify it, like, you know, if you've ever had to upload your music online, there's only so many genres that you can pick. And I didn't have anything for myself. And that was the only genre I can go into because of my love for Christ. So that's how I, you know, to make a long story short, that's how I wind up in this particular genre. Okay.
And how has your spiritual journey influenced the way that you create and perform music? You talked about like what you're talking about different lyrics now than before.
Yes. The thing is that I have been a part of, you know, the church for like some time. I would say since 2004. Okay. As a musician. So I was a musician with the church, listening to the pastor, listening to the word over and over again for many years before I decided to transition over into what we know as the genre of gospel music. So there was kind of an understudy or a little bit of a behavior for a great while before even going into the genre itself. So it didn't even feel like a transition. It just felt like I was regurgitating some of the things that I was hearing in service, but in my own kind of way for what I call the people on the fence to understand. Yeah. You know, because there's a group of individuals who they'll come to church for like 3 reasons: weddings, funerals, and like a christening or something like that. Or if Big Mama tells you, boy, you need to come to church. Right. So I decided to I guess translate everything that I've learned in a way that I believe that they would understand. Okay. And so that's pretty much what my music is.
And when you say the way that they will understand, to translate that, how do you go about doing that? And what do you like really mean when you say in a way that they'd understand?
So for instance, like I say, like if a person, like, you know, you got the homeboy, he's like, man, listen, I ain't going inside the church for nothing, man. I'm sorry, bro. That's like what they talking about. I don't understand, because it almost feels like it's a frequency. Like when certain some pastors get up there and they'll speak a word, they might have a certain diction or vernacular, like the way they speak. And the homeboy's like, hey man, is he talking to me? It's like, what exactly is he talking about? I understand. And then you got that one person that may go to church that may understand the way they're speaking, that will actually translate that to you. Like, hey man, what they're honestly saying is just this. They're not saying nothing to, but the more you go, the more you understand. And I just said, let me be a voice. Let me be somebody that can speak in layman's terms or speak in, I don't want to say jive. Like, because sometimes I do use like, catchphrases or slang and stuff like that. So it sounds like that R&B vernacular, that delivery.
Yeah, I get it. Because sometimes, we all have a special gift of being able to reach certain people.
Yes.
Certain, people that, wherever they're from or whatever they've been through and different things that they may have been doing, different people can reach different people. And we all need that. And that makes up the body of the church who goes out there and reach people. So awesome. I understand. Yeah. You've had the opportunity to work with some big names in the industry. What sort of like some of the biggest challenges you faced while navigating the music world, R&B, and now in gospel?
Some of the challenge that I may have is patience, being patient. You can be in the room and not in the room.
Okay.
like you're there, you're with the movers and the shakers, the people that can make decisions to change your career right then and now.
Right.
And you have to be patient because you could speak out of term, you could speak out of season.
Yeah.
Which is spiritual, and you could ultimately, come off as a fan as opposed to a contemporary or somebody that, you want to work with them. Yeah. Like I've seen Donnie McClurkin in the middle of, matter of fact, it was at the end of the gospel. It wasn't a gospel award. It was some kind of gospel fest that they had in Ohio, Dayton, Ohio, on TV One, which is BET's platform. And it was me and my brothers, Sincere, out of Miami, Florida. Shout out to Sincere and their new single, That's God. And I featured on a song called Believe, right? And I had to perform this song with them. We did our performance. I'm walking out, I'm doing this rapping part. And the first person I see is Rance Allen. Okay. God rest his soul. I mean, he's sitting there dead smack center and like front stage, and right next to him is Donnie McClurkin and Ty Tribbett and Dietrich Haddon and a bunch of other people. And I'm just like, wow, these are the people I've been listening to for all my life. Yeah. And they're watching me on stage this very moment. Man, I hope I get a chance to meet one of them. And sure enough, get off stage. Donnie McClurkin, he's right there. And he speaks with us for about like almost maybe 30 minutes.
Wow.
Him and his sister. Yeah. Which they're very tall, by the way.
Are they?
And yes, they're very tall, by the way.
Really?
Yes. Donnie McClurkin has to be at least about like 6'5" or 6'6". I know he's taller.
Are you serious?
Yes, and I'm about 6'3" and a half. I'm gonna put the
Whoa.
Half. So Donnie's tall. William Murphy, another tall person. There's a lot of. Yes, I think William Murphy's about 6'6", 200.
Wow.
Yeah, so these are really, really big people. But back to the point, being in the room, and when he sat down with us to speak about just life and spirituality as a whole, that's a moment to kind of take in information. That's not a moment for you to like, hey man, check out my demo. Like right. it wasn't a moment for that. Right. And because we were patient, he was nice enough to provide us with an email. For us to send stuff and to even help us out with like radio programming and things of that nature.
Nice.
So that's the lesson that I learned. It's a challenge because I noticed there's a lot of people who may see their favorite artist in the room, and the first thing they want to do is like dive in and give them the demo or some type of accolade that they have, and that might not be the moment. You might just may have to catch them backstage.
Right.
Catch their road manager of some sort, and see if that individual can help you out. Because if you decide to take, that renegade route and just like strong arm them and, listen to my demo right now, you might get some fisticuffs.
Yeah. Okay. Got it.
Yeah. They got bodyguards too.
Right. Wow. 6'5" got bodyguards. Yeah, I guess so. Then.
Mm-hmm.
I can't believe they're that tall. Like amazing. Like you can't tell. Like if you hadn't told me that, I would have known. I haven't met them, but that's awesome. I mean,
with an exception of like Kirk Franklin, but
he's like, he's pretty my height, probably. Big
Nice
difference in height.
Yes,
But
absolutely.
personality is huge, you know.
Yes. Yeah,
Yeah,
he makes up in his production and his writing and in his spirit. So yeah.
that's right.
Yeah.
Tell us about your experience with the Miami Dolphins voices. What is that? And your experience for working with Gloria Estefans and how it impacted your career.
Man, it just there's a lot of behind the scenes things that I've learned working with the Miami Dolphins voices, the Miami Dolphins organization.
Okay.
Um, that stadium is huge.
Yeah.
By the way, you'll look at something from outside, but to go in and then to go down up under the stadium is a whole nother thing.
Wow.
But working with the Dolphins voices has taught me like some additional skill sets that I didn't have in terms of blending, harmonizing vocally. It was a six-part like harmony vocal group, a cappella style, no instrumentations. It was directed by Derek Johnson, who is one of the main directors I don't want to say he's the founder of the Voices of Liberty for Epcot Center with Disney.
Oh, okay.
So he's been there for many years. I think he celebrated a birthday recently, and he's a great teacher. So I've gained some additional skill sets. I was even able to meet with some management of T-Pain during that season of 2009. What else? There was definitely a lot of TV exposure because we were on ESPN, as well as TNT for Monday Night Football and etc.
Okay.
So it was one of those things. If you had stage fright,
yeah,
that wasn't the avenue for you. You had 55,000 people who were yelling, and then there's this the flyover that they had right at the part where we say in the home of the brave, and then there's this huge flyover with these jets. Okay. So it was a great experience, man. It was definitely a great learning experience for me. Can't complain.
Awesome. Yeah, I sung the national anthem a few times when I was younger for the Miami Dolphins and the Hurricanes. So yeah, that was like
that's a big platform.
Yeah, absolutely. Tell me, what is the Miami Dolphin Voices?
So what they are is just a group of a cappella singers. It's an a cappella group that is that Gloria Estefan and Emilio Estefan had put together. They bought into the company as far as entertainment, and they decided that they wanted to have a group sing as opposed to just having like an individual, because like even with the Miami Heat, they'll always grab either musicians, a horn player, or a soloist, but it's been very few like groups that would sing like Take Six or something like that. So they decided they wanted to put together an ensemble, if you will.
Okay. Interesting. And like, so this is still happening. And when do they like perform? Because I haven't heard of the Miami Dolphins.
I think they stopped after the 2011 season. Like it ran from 2009 to 2011, and one amazing thing I think that came out of that was there's this gentleman by the name of John Splitoff. Okay. He is a vocalist, and now he's doing excellent. And he actually we all came out of this program.
Oh, nice.
So he's doing like very, very well. Like I wouldn't be surprised like within the next month or two, you guys would be like, there's this guy named John Splitoff on what is it, Saturday Night Live or something like that. He's just that big and just that good. Okay. But only up from 2009 to 2011 was the final season that they did the Dolphins Voices. I
see. Okay. Walk us through your creative process. A lot of people out there want to know, I want to write songs, but like, how do I start this process? So walk us through the process and the songwriting process and the production process.
Oh man, how much time do we have? I would try my best to stay on topic, because when I tell you I'm so weird when it comes to just the creative process. The first thing I do is it starts like whenever God wants it to start. So in other words,
I know that. I'm sorry, go ahead.
Yeah. So it's one of those things where like you may hear something like a melody. It could be a truck backing up and the beeping noise, or it could be the windshield wipers going back and forth, and then I might start humming something. And then that humming sound, I will take my phone and record it in the voice memo. Yes. And then later on, like if I'm like producing a track and I'm like, what was that windshield wiper idea that I heard earlier? And I'll play it back.
Yeah.
And sometimes I would even import that same sound from the windshield wiper into, to Logic, which is what I'm using right here. Mm-hmm. And from there, like if I feel something or if I hear something, or even better, if I'm influenced by something that's actually happening in my life, then that's the song. That is the song for the day, whether it's love or a loss of love or a loss of a loved one.
Yeah.
That's the song. And the windshield wiper is the beat. It's the groove, and and the musician in me will find, we will find the key of that and try to work with it.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know when I was writing my songs, when I just was like trying to run from music, and like the Lord was like, nah, you're not going to do it. You're not going to run. You're going to have to do it. It was just growing on the inside of me, and I couldn't stop it from growing. I was like, stop, but it wouldn't stop. And I was like, if I don't do something about this, it's going to just burst through me. Like I could not get comfortable without letting it just go head on and come through me. Right. And I was on the floor, like deciding that I'm going to submit to do it. And the first thing, I hadn't really like written before. I had a little bit, but not like really like this,
Yes.
And the Lord was like, go to the computer and just put all the songs that producers had sent me. And it's interesting. The first song I wrote to was a song that I had gotten like 2-3 years before. And I was like, this is like so not me at all. But the moment I heard it, everything just came to me, like the words, the melody, background vocals, the layering of the vocals. It was like happening so fast. I was like, what? This is crazy. I was like, I can't believe like it's been like this all this time, when people at the label would be like, you can write songs, you can write, my manager would be like, you can write, just write. And I'm like, write what? But this was happening so easy. I'm like, all this time it was this easy. And it was just like, it was like I was writing with my eyes closed and trying to record everything at the same time, because it was just happening so fast. It was unbelievable. And then to write, like I did like a 12 song album, but I had written 13 songs, but it happened at any moment.
That's a lot of songs.
Yeah. And they were just pouring out of me though. They were just like, poo. And I never knew what track I would write to. It was only like go to the computer, and it could be any time of day. It was just, I was just making myself available to do what God said do. That's right. It. And I would just put like maybe I heard something like you said, and then that would get it going. But mostly it was like the tracks, wake up, go play the track, or just go down the list, and some song would just wake it up inside of me, and it just come pouring out. And that was like my process I wrote this song, If Any Man Be, from 2 Corinthians 5:17. And all I could see was just somebody going around on stage, because like all these lights and stuff, like, and the dancers would be laying down on the ground, like, just like, ugh. And I would go around and say and whisper in their ear, and then they just like come up. But like, you can be a new creation in Christ. And that's how I wrote that song. And it was just amazing to me, because I hadn't had these experiences before. But it was like life waking up on the inside of me to birth these songs for myself, for people, whatever. But it's absolutely incredible. So I can imagine, like, when you get that, just that creative process, it just starts stewing. It's like, those are the words, it's pouring out of your heart to say, I just want to praise. I just want to worship. And all my love is pouring out to say, God, you are just absolutely amazing. And you blow my mind, and you wake up my heart. And I'm so excited.
Now, where can I'm going to turn it to the interviewer now. So where can we find this song?
You can find it on all the platforms: Amazon, Google Music, Apple Music. Always Count on You, Loud for Christ. And that's the album, and Running to You. And put your hands in the air. Yeah. Thank you so much.
You heard it live from Planet Podcast. You can find her music on.
Thank you for putting me on blast out there so I could promote myself.
Absolutely. Make sure y'all get it.
Thank you. I want to talk about you promoting you.
Okay.
Because you have written this beautiful song for your father.
Well,
Let's play some of it, and then we're gonna come back and talk about it.
All right. I did want to say that the song was written by Hillsong United out of I believe they're in Australia.
Hillsong wrote it, you said?
Yeah, so they wrote the song. I just reproduced it.
Okay, so I see.
So it's a remake.
Okay.
Your heart is for me. Your ear is listening. I'm safe in your love. Your army of angels watch over me. Yeah. You're always present. You're always with me. For all of my life, your favor has followed, you cover me, yeah. And I never walk alone, never been abandoned. You are my inheritance, you are my strength and shield, and I have confidence. You go before me, you are my deliverer, and I will never walk alone. You're always faithful, strong and able. I'm lifting up my head, and you I find up. You are my providence, and I never walk alone, never been abandoned. You are my inheritance, you are my strength and shield, and I have confidence. You go before me, you are my deliverer, and I will never walk alone. Whoa. You walk alone, yeah. Listen. Every hour, every minute, you will always be there. You are faithful, and you always will be. Every triumph and every failure, you loyal to me. You are faithful, and you always will be. Every hour, every minute, you will always be there. You are faithful, and you always will be. Every triumph and every failure, you loyal to me. You are faithful, and I never walk alone, never been abandoned. You are my inheritance, you are my strength and shield, and I have confidence. You go before me, you are my deliverer, and I will never walk alone. You got me, yeah, yeah. You got me, yeah. I will never. You got me, you got me. Never walk alone.
Yeah.
Beautiful. Yay! Your song
Thank
is
you.
the first that has ever played on the PlanetRoq platform. Okay.
What?
That didn't play my music. That was gorgeous. I love it. Just so
Thank you.
inspiring. Tell us the inspiration. Tell us all about it.
So the inspiration was my father, Ralph Holton Jr. He passed away June 25th of 2023. As I said earlier, he was my manager, my father. He was my coach. A lot of different things. Inspiration for music in the first place. And when he passed, I just felt like I need to do this song, not only because of as a dedication to him, but because of that is a song that got me through. That song played in my head. Like every time I would visit him in the hospital, that song played over and over in my head. So I felt like it was only right that I did that song since it got me through.
Yeah.
Also because of Father God himself.
Yeah.
It's like it was a worship that I needed in that moment. So, you know, what better way to honor my father by honoring God
that's
and
wonderful.
by, you know, worshiping, because I have, you know, you can check the records. I have no worship songs that I've recorded. All my songs were just my own personal testimonies, and a lot of it had like this R&B undertone.
Yeah.
But I said, for once in my life, let me, you know, let me worship God and be vulnerable, even in this production and the singing, and singing the song, because I can't perform I can't perform that song anyways. It's just not. It would take a lot of strength to make it through.
Yeah,
So,
I
and
understand.
I hope that everybody does get a chance to go on YouTube to watch the music video as well. I mean, it has a few views on it, but not even about that. I just want everybody to see, you know, my love for my father and my love for worship by watching this music video. So make sure you go to YouTube and check me out.
Where on YouTube?
So you're going to just type in my first and last name, which is BYRON_HOLTON, or just Byron Holton, Never Walk Alone. And you should see the first thing will pop up is this guy looking like this, but with many of my multicolored Scully caps on. I have at least 13 different flavors. So
Okay, it's a beautiful song. I love the texture of your voice. I love the diversity in the song as well. Yeah, great song. Tell us, how do you balance creativity with your technical skills? Because you're producing, you're using all the computers, all this stuff, you're writing, all your creativity, all the skills. Tell us, how do you balance
it is. I don't know. With my ADHD, it's not a balance at all. Like it's really like it has to be nothing but God, because honestly, I'm just one person in the room. And everything it's like I said earlier, it starts with just either a feeling or some kind of inspiration. Once it's and I wanted to go into the technicalities of writing, but I said, man, I have to just give glory to God for that. But I would say the technicalities now. So the technicalities of the writing is just being true to whatever it is that you're writing. Eventually you'll find the melodies. If you can find the melodies first, and you can record it in your phone, if you're going db-da, whatever it is, in the notes that, you know, speaks to you, you know, as far as the delivery, then you can go back and then find those words based off of what you're going through in life in that very moment. And so that's just the creative part of it, right?
Yes.
Now the technicality is like, okay, now I have to put this on a grid. This needs to be about 135 BPMs or 95 BPMs, which is basically beats per minute. You know, how fast the song is. But once again, the technicality has to yield to creativity.
Yes.
You know, like, hey, I know technicality may say this needs to be on a grid and it has to have this. But what am I feeling? If I'm feeling something that is sad, then my BPMs are not going to be 140. That's really, really fast. You know, even 100 BPMs is kind of like, you know, it's like time cut in half for like a hip hop beat. And about 120 could be an R&B ballad for like, you know, like the Brian B. Knight type stuff. So it all depends on what I'm feeling, what the spirit is giving me. And then I make the technicalities bow down to the creativity. And then I'll just like use all the tech skills to like we're going to put it to 130. We're going to use this 808 bass drum. We'll use these hi-hats. I'll play these chord progressions. And that's when the technicality comes in. Like, does this chord match what the bass is playing? Does it match what the windshield is? You know, that squeaking noise is giving me. That's all that match is when the technicality comes in. And then the final product, like mixing it, you know, making sure that it's not too loud, making sure that there isn't any distortion. You know, if the feeling of the song requires it to be in stereo, does it require it to be in mono? Does it require the backgrounds to be in stereo? Do I want to make it sound like Motown? So like if somebody gives me a record, they say I want a true authentic Motown record. So now that means I have to pan the drums only to this side. And then I have to stick the bass over here, and then I have to put the strings in left and right, and then let the so it can have that breathing space to make it feel authentic.
Yeah.
So it all depends on what what are you asking me to cook? You know. So if you want me to make something that is of old, then I'm going to have my technicalities are going to have to be obedient to whatever it is that I'm creating.
That's awesome. Yes, the technical skills have to bow down to the creativity.
That's it.
Got it. As an independent artist, what has been the most rewarding and the most difficult aspects of managing your career now that you're at this stage?
Difficult. I would say
2023.
2023?
Since 2023.
Oh,
right?
Okay. I would say one of the most rewarding things is that I don't have to, share with too many people. I don't have like a machine that cuts into the pie. You know what I mean? Like, okay, well, you have, about artists and repertoire, you have the marketing, and then you have the people for the tour, and there's so many different parts that usually take away from what you get, and how long it takes for us to pay them back, recruitment and stuff. So now it's just me and CD Baby.
Okay.
or me and Distro Kid, and they take their 25% and I take my 75 cents or whatever, and I go about my business.
Yes.
So that's the beauty in it. Some of the challenges is being that all-in-one person. So when you're the person that has to call into the stations and to push your records, when you also have to be the person that has to call the promoters to make sure that your writer is being fulfilled, it can be challenging because sometimes they want to know exactly who they're speaking to, and sometimes I wind up telling them, "Hey, this is Byron calling on behalf of Byron," which is kind of weird.
What advice would you give aspiring musicians who want to maintain their independence in the industry?
The advice that I would give to them is, if they want to maintain their independence, is that they're going to have to find a way to make this lucrative for them. They're going to they have to make sure that whatever funds that you're getting in, whatever money that is coming in, make sure that you're putting it towards your marketing. Make sure that the music that you have, not just your lyrics and your arrangement, but also the beats itself. They're not YouTube beats. It's something that you can own rights to, so that you can actually monetize, and that it can make room for you. Because if you don't monetize, it's kind of you're doing it for the sake of making yourself aware to the public in hopes that you can get picked up for a performance or something like that. But if there's any advice I could give to them, I would definitely say, please make sure that you copyright register your music, get with a PRO, a performing rights organization, to make sure that it's registered with ASCAP, BMI, or CSAC, so that you can actually benefit from it. Register your music. What they call it, IRC codes or something like that. ISRC codes.
Yeah.
Yeah. You wanna have those things, and also try to do some, work parallel. If you have some other friends who are they're working just as hard as you, or maybe if they might be working a little bit harder than you are, try to feature with them, because that means you get to gain another audience.
Right.
And nowadays it's really about social media. It's all about the electronic online platforms. There's no more. There are billboards on the side of the road, but we're too busy looking in our phones to see them. So even while we're driving. So with that being said, make it lucrative, so that you can continue to do it. Because one of the things that can kill your dreams is having to clock in and clock out. And I'm not saying there's anything wrong with a 9-to-5, but allow it to make, the Bible says that your gifts will make room for you and have you in the presence of great men and women, right?
That's right.
So I believe that you need to study yourself, study, everything that you need to know about this music business, so that it's working on all cylinders, and you're not just doing it because a lot of people, they want to make it, but they may not know how. So definitely register your stuff. Find you some kind of side gig. If you can mentor some people that can help you make some money, that you can put back into your online campaign, but like make it lucrative.
Yeah.
Make it fun and make it lucrative.
I know you have to go. What are any upcoming projects that you have, and how can people reach out to you?
So I start with how people can reach out to me. They can find me on Instagram, which is BYRON space HOLTON, which is Byron Holton. I have a website, which is IamByronHolton.com. And there's also me on Facebook, which I think that's where the underscore comes in, BYRON_HOLTON. You could also look for my projects on YouTube. I have some videos that I've done, some live videos and performances as well. And what else? Projects that I have coming up. I have some acting things that are coming up with Aaron Avant Johnson with a horror film. We won't go into details right now, but I'm also looking to do some film scores with the likes of what's the gentleman's name? He's a comedian out of Atlanta down here. I can't think of his name, Country Wayne. Okay. And also Mama Jones, as far as doing film scores. And I also have a ballad project that I'm putting together. So I'm also doing some ballads as well. So that's why I said earlier that, you know, what I talk about has placed me in the genre of gospel music. I'm a creator who loves God. So anytime I want to talk about God, I'm going to talk about God. All right.
That's wonderful. Thank you. I'm sorry. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, I was just saying that's just my disclaimer. But I also have a ballad project that I'm putting together, which is called Our Love. Our Love.
Okay. Yes. Well, I know you got to go. And I thank you so much for your time. Thank you for coming on. We appreciate having you.
Likewise.
All right. Thank you for the listeners who are listening to the PlanetRoq Podcast. That was Byron. We are just loving this PlanetRoq and coming to just catch gems from everyone that's coming on the show. Thank you again, Byron. Thank you, listeners. We look forward to seeing you next week, hearing us right here on PlanetRoq.
What an awesome show full of insight and inspiration. Thank you to our guests and listeners. Look forward to hearing us next week on envision-radio.com at 12 noon, right here on PlanetRoq.